it's not like it's female orgasms are outlawed. They're just rare. But
rare, safe, and whatever. Safe, legal, and rare.
Safe, legal, and rare. The female orgasm. I like
school.
that. Safe, legal, and rare. Hey, thanks for coming. Come on in. Do you want a beer?
And we're going to start winning again.
Welcome to the Midwest Sense Podcast, where we make sense of it all. Brutally.
Live from Beyond Good Reason Studio.
Hello, Midwest!
Welcome back, my hindsight heroes. Another Friday. Welcome to the Beyond Good Reason Studio. February 21st. Holy cow, flying through winter. Nothing like starting a podcast by saying goodnight to your kids and kicking over the the child's potty full of pee all over the floor before you come down and record.
Honey, clean that up.
He's still using one of the little potties and you transfer the piss?
Yeah, at night.
Okay. Yeah.
During the day, he's pretty good about hitting up the big boy potty, and he's all proud of that.
He's been learning to pee standing up, but not because I'm telling him to. He's wanting to be like me, so he'll take the stool, go to town. His little 2-year-old just pissing all over the toilet.
Every man needs a gun.
I'm peeing standing up, Daddy.
That's awesome. Well, and so the big problem with us is we have a remodeled bathroom upstairs with my choice of throne. Mm-hmm. The for you home remodelers, the choice of throne is the elongated bowl at the chair height. That's the correct. It prevents dipping. We all know about dipping.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm. I would not surround myself with men that didn't have the daily struggle of dipping. So,
yeah.
But so we have the
I believe
remodel.
I have that same style toilet because it's got like the efficiency, not a lot of water in it. It's kind of more long.
This one's
I had to buy when I bought my house. They had one of those environmentally friendly.
Yeah, so you have like
an
a quote unquote electric toilet.
Yeah,
you have an EV.
Basically,
I'm still running the gas version. I don't have like the water saver switch. Like you got the one. It's basically 2 buttons, right? You have the one for the number 1 and one for number 2. Mine's just the lever flush, but no, the elongated bowl. So it's not a round short one. It's longer.
I do have that.
So it's like a big long oval.
Yep.
And then it's chair height. So it's, I don't know, probably a good 2 inches taller than the regular round bowl. So that's our remodeled bathroom. And then I have a bathroom that I need to remodel coming up shortly here that has the old school, shorter toilet, standard toilet, round bowl. He can't do the elongated one because he'll fall in. The chair height one. He
Not
can't get up on
go.
it. So it's the best way to go. That one is my throne. But yeah.
My kid drowned in the toilet.
Yeah. Definitely not a good way to kick the bucket. For sure. So yeah, he does well with the round bowl, but not with the elongated.
It's amazing what the toilet down here has survived. The people that have lived in this area of the home over time.
Oh yeah, it's impressive.
I've done unspeakable things to that toilet,
and you weren't even the one I was concerned with. Truthfully.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You know what I recently did?
Let's get to intros real quick because we don't know who you guys are.
That's right. Who am I?
Oh, man.
Where am I?
Today in the studio, we have the financially literate, the sports ball solo syndicate, our strawberry blonde stepchild, our miserable Minnesotan, Ben. Thanks for being here, Ben.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks.
Got the Black Rifle coffee in for a high energy evening.
I do. Yeah, I'm not one to drink. I don't drink coffee that much anymore, but I need the extra kick.
Not every morning? You're not an every morning guy?
I used to be. But here's the thing. I take one sip of coffee and I got to poop. It's
You
instant.
say it like it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
I-
what
well,
about
yeah.
the second sip?
The second sip, I'm already on the toilet, so you might as
You bring
well
your
stay
coffee
there.
with
Drinking
you, huh?
coffee on the chair is diabolical.
commitment.
No, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of coffee, but a couple of weeks back, I went without it for a while. Started eating much more clean than I normally had. Hadn't drank any alcohol for a while, and then I like to drink my coffee black usually, and it started to taste terrible to me. It was weird. Like my taste buds
so
started to
funny.
change.
That happened to me.
Okay,
Same thing.
so I'm not alone.
All right. And last but certainly not least, the nearly invisible, the ever elusive, the one, the only, Uncle Bustin. Thanks for being here, bud.
You're welcome.
How's it going?
It's been great.
You have a where do we find you?
You can find me exclusively at the Midwest Sense podcast. I
the place
don't
to be.
exist outside of this room.
I like it.
The ghost of Bustin's past.
And
present.
I am your host, Andrew. The thing with the coffee.
Yeah.
Were you
So
sick or anything during
well,
that?
no.
It was
I
So
got
I-
sick, so that might have impacted it.
Okay,
but
that could have been it. See, I've done this several times where I drink 1 cup, 16 ounces. That's it. And when I was doing a lot of fasting, I do intermittent fasting. So 1 meal a day, that was dinner. And so black coffee in the morning, that's it. And it was fine. I didn't have a problem. And then I went through phases where I'd quit for like a month, and that was hard because initially when I did it, I'd get headaches.
Yeah.
And so that was difficult. So then you're popping an Excedrin instead just to stay away from the coffee, but the Excedrin's got caffeine in it, so you're not really ditching that caffeine. But eventually I got to the point where no headaches, I'm fine. And then somehow, some way, coffee just leaches right back into your morning. And
it's a nice little reward.
It's winter. I think that's the
It's
problem.
adulthood.
It's having
It's
a cold
frickin' cold
winter
outside, dude.
Yeah. How do you not drink
You need something
hot?
warm. Yeah, and at my office we have terrible ventilation in that building. When it was like negative 15 or whatever
You
this
felt
last week,
it.
I'm shivering.
Yeah.
And so I got to go get the tea, go get the espresso, and we've got a nice coffee machine. I'm like, I'm drinking some coffee, man, even
Yeah.
if it doesn't taste great, but it does. But
recently, I had a terrible winter as far as like I didn't do any. I did a little bit of fasting, but I mean, diet out the window, gained a bunch of weight, not working out,
staying warm though.
staying warm. I mean, I'm doing the hibernation things.
Priorities. It's
Doing
survival at this point.
That's right. Doing the Minnesota hibernation things. And then just recently, my black coffee just started tasting like mold. And I know it's not the coffee. I know it's not, I do a French press. I know it's not my cup. Everything's clean. So I don't know what it is, but it just started tasting
Mine,
icky.
yeah, same. It was like I'm drinking dirt or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I just can't even finish this right now.
You would be surprised how much mold they find in some brands of coffee grounds.
And that's what I've heard too.
That's the popular social media thing is people saying, oh, it's not the coffee, it's the mold and the beans that
And then
get
they
you.
sell you
And
mushrooms or whatever in a cup.
Yeah. So that's what I switched to.
Mushrooms.
Did you really?
I'm doing a mushroom coffee. I've been doing that for a week now.
Is there psilocybin or is it lion's mane mushrooms? What's
yeah,
in
it's
this?
like it's like lion's mane, and
That's the thing about mushrooms that's so interesting is, as a plant species, 90% of them will kill you. I mean, how do they consistently know that you're making
trial and error.
They have a test guy and another test guy and another test guy because they keep losing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the turnover rate for the mushroom test guy is pretty high.
We'll pay you
that's
really
a
well
government
once.
conspiracy,
Yeah, no, but that's been good. But I haven't had it black. I've been putting a little heavy whipping cream in it. So
Nice.
I'm not fat. It's keto. I'm not fasting. So that's the only bummer.
Well, I've heard
But
you fast if you actually don't eat above like 500 calories. I don't know if I believe it, but
I don't
heard,
think I believe it. It because you cannot have any calories because it triggers your metabolism.
maybe, but that's what I've heard from
So
someone who's into
he could
exercise
still be
science.
in ketosis, but he's not fasting because his
Correct.
body is working to
I see. Yeah.
metabolize.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
maybe what I'm thinking.
Yeah, 'cause
technically,
me-
of course, it's not fasting. Yeah,
Right. And I only say that because the only marker I'm concerned with fasting is hitting autophagy.
you're right.
So as long as I don't care what I consume, so long as I hit autophagy. And it's my understanding that anything that has a calorie count to it is going to tick you, past that point and trigger your
Safer to not
metabolism.
do it, right?
But yeah, I don't know. Thanks to RFK, I am on a whole new track. I'm sleeping on a grounding sheet. I'm shopping methylene blue like I'm freaking Mr. White, and I'm all cracked out on magnesium. So take that for what it's worth. I will say magnesium, if neither one of you are taking it, I think it is a miracle supplement. Magnesium glycinate. I'll do your homework for you.
Sure.
Magnesium glycinate is the one you need. If you want additional,
For sleep and all that?
magnesium L-treonate. I may be saying that wrong. Magnesium L-treonate. THRENATE. Don't quote me on that. That one is more for brain health because it does cross the brain-blood barrier, whatever. So they say. So I take that for brain health and then the other for full body. And magnesium glycinate is the one that you want.
And it's working. Your brain is glowing right now.
Yeah.
Dude, so we tried. Do either of you guys take magnesium?
No, I should.
I took, there's this powder called Calm. Have you ever heard of that? It's got magnesium.
Is that the brand,
in it.
Calm?
The brand, yeah. So I've taken that before. It helps you sleep deeper, and so that's the closest I think I've done with it. But
did you sleep deeper?
Yeah, it's nice. It helps me like level out, especially like a Sunday night where you're thinking about work the next day.
Yeah,
it's kind of a nice touch.
Do you?
I just take fish oil and vitamin D.
Do you take any K2?
Nope.
Dude, RFK's got me
should
buzzing,
take
man.
magnesium.
I keep saying RFK. I knew this stuff beforehand, but he's like my
But now that it's
scapegoat. He's my
official.
excuse. Yeah. Let's maha this.
That's right.
It's like the Rogan podcast.
So D3, vitamin D3, but if you're not taking K2 with it, you're peeing it out.
See, I've heard
There's
the
no
opposite
absorption.
too on the social media world of like, if you have them combined in a pill, it's not as good. But
No, you need it.
I think mine are
They
combined.
make
I don't know.
them K2
I
with
know,
D3
I know they do.
combined.
I've taken them, but yeah,
And the reason they make it is because if you take just vitamin D3, you're not absorbing it. K2 is what is necessary to absorb that.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think
you
mine
start,
are combined. I'm not taking a separate K2. Can you tell us what K2 is?
tell us how you take the D.
orally.
How many times daily
As many as he can get.
Two in a row,
in a row?
usually in the morning. It's that morning glory and then the repeat performance. No, but I take the K2 now with the D3. I used to just pound the D3 and then to keep on theme, on brand here. No, but I take the K2 with the D3 and I absolutely feel a difference.
Interesting.
I'm
feel
telling you,
3D.
it was like I was never
Where were
taking
you getting your
vitamin
D3?
Costco. Like a
I've
true
taken-
Minnesotan.
I've taken both, and I don't know if I noticed a whole lot of a difference yet, but yeah.
Are you consistent with it?
Yeah. Well, more recently I am because the winter, I just don't get outside at all to experience
Well,
the sun. It's
even if you
terrible.
did, it's
Yeah.
too far away. The rays right now don't produce D3. So even if you were to lay out there buck naked in the middle of January, you wouldn't get any vitamin
You
D.
know he is doing that.
Yeah.
On occasion.
That's why they call him the miserable Minnesotan.
Yeah.
He's out there being miserable.
Yep.
On his back, legs in the air, trying to get that. What do they call
Sunning
that?
his perineum.
Perineum. I was going to say
perineum.
perennial.
His is, in fact, a perennial perineum.
I got to dip my balls in hot water just to thaw out after I get home.
Yeah. No, but get on that magnesium game. So the only reason I'm so strong with it is because I have trouble sleeping. Like I'm up every 2 hours. I'm awake, and it sucks. Like I never hit REM. It's a problem. And
Started tracking. I got a new Garmin watch here.
Ooh, fancy.
And it's interesting because I can look at it when I'm in REM, when I'm in deep sleep. It's incredible that earlier in the night is really the only time you're in deep sleep, at least for me. And so I've been trying to get better at going to bed on time, but
yeah, so
it's incredible.
I did that
Speaking
for
of
a little bit with
autophagy,
the
I mean, that's
Apple Watch.
what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't taking any magnesium, and then obviously social media is stacked with all sorts of pseudo health stuff. A couple people were talking about this magnesium foot spray, and for whatever reason, every now and then something will get me, and I don't buy it because I believe it. It's just like, we'll try it. I don't know. I just felt like this was a low low barrier to entry try. And for whatever reason, when I talked to the wife about it, she's like, oh, I've seen stuff about that too. So just on a whim, ordered it from Amazon. Don't even know the brand name. Yeah, this magnesium spray. And it says to like, you can rub it into sore joints and muscles and whatever. And, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it'll be good for my bad back and all my muscle cramps and whatever. So we get that. And the video that we had watched was some kid spraying his feet before he went to bed. And so I thought, okay, whatever. I'll keep it in my nightstand and try it. First night I tried it, I only woke up once that night and I had the craziest vivid dreams.
Was I in it?
What's that?
Was I in the dream?
That's a Patreon subscriber
It's
only.
behind the paywall.
Yeah, behind the paywall. No, but and every night I tried it after that. Crazy vivid dreams, and I'd pretty much sleep through the night.
Interesting.
That's
So
amazing.
that tells me it's whatever it's doing, I'm hitting REM. So you want good sleep, add magnesium. That's
a good point.
Link me that spray. I'll give it a try.
I skip the spray now and I just take the.
Oh, and you're still having the
magnesium
same
glycinate.
effects either way.
Yeah, and the dreams aren't as. I'm not. That I quit the spray because after a while
They were too intense.
dude, it was like, he was like, okay, do I want the good night's sleep, which is supposed to make my next day feel better, but my next day won't feel better because
You
I'll be
have
plagued with these
so
crazy
bad-
dreams.
yeah, the crazy,
It's like I'm living two
the
lives.
drugged up nightmares from magnesium.
Yeah. Did either one of you ever read Ted Decker's Black, Red,
Yeah, that's
White?
it.
I don't think I read those, but I know of them. But yeah,
Okay.
creepy stuff sometimes.
If you've ever read them, I don't think I finished the last one, and we're talking 20 years ago.
I don't even
was in
remember
high
what
school.
order they went in.
I don't remember the order either. But the if I remember right, the basis of the story was a guy who every time he like got knocked out or fell asleep, he'd wake up in another world. And so he never actually slept because he lived one life being asleep, but living in another world. And then he'd fall asleep in that world and wake up in the quote unquote
Wild
real
stuff.
world. Yeah. Which is really trippy. They're really excellent books, but that's what it felt like. And so after a while, I just stopped taking it.
I
But with the
understand, yeah.
magnesium glycinate pills, I don't get that.
Yeah.
So hit those up. Anybody else have anything going on this week?
My uncle got in a snowmobile accident
Ooh.
last Thursday. He
Very
was
Midwest appropriate topic. Here.
It is. Well, and it's funny because since then I've read about like 5 different ones that have happened in the past few days. But so he's on his way up
Leave it
into
up to
town.
mainstream media to hide that.
Yeah, suppressing it. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about us in the middle of the country.
It's an epidemic, these snowmobile
Yeah.
accidents. No, so he's on this trail going through the woods, but on its way into town. And I don't know how fast he was going, but he goes around this corner and it's like a blind turn, and immediately there's a road there. Now, prior to that, before you go around a blind turn, you would think there'd be a little sign. You know, you have the signs along all snowmobile trails.
Yeah. Like
Just
the stop,
with like
little
arrows
stop
or whatever.
signs and stuff.
You'd think there'd be a sign leading up to that turn saying slow or yield or anything. So he goes around the corner, immediately sees the stop sign and slams on his brakes, and he's in the road.
Yeah.
And he gets hit by a fucking chip delivery truck.
No way.
Yep. So he
Like a Frito-Lay?
like a Lay's chip delivery
he got
truck.
laid
It was
out.
laid out by Frito-Lay.
Yeah. So it was
Is he
going like
okay?
50 miles an hour. Well, they had
That's
to
bad,
airlift him
man.
to the hospital. So he snaps his femur, shattered his kneecap on that same leg, broke his hand and wrist in multiple places, broke a vertebrae in his neck,
Oh, my
and
God.
lacerated
Oh, my
his liver. And they airlifted him down to St. Cloud. But luckily he's home now. The laceration clotted and started to heal faster than they expected. That's what they were nervous about. And then everything else is just, about resetting and allowing it to heal. So he's back home. But yeah, so
That's insane, man.
I hope that vertebrae is an easy peasy deal and doesn't.
apparently they were able to, I don't know if it was just popped out of place or broken or what, but that's not what's giving him the
Man,
most
that's
trouble at the
tough.
moment. So
What's the most trouble?
the leg. Yeah.
Yeah, the femur. I mean, the femur's serious.
It's
that can kill you.
a year to heal.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long
largest
he'll
bone
be
in the
out of
body,
it.
and they say it's the most painful bone to break. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh my gosh.
And the
That's
week
your largest bone.
isn't it the densest bone?
Might
it's
be,
the
it
longest.
might be his largest bone.
Well, the week prior to that, did you guys hear about the Delta flight that was headed to Amsterdam out of MSP? And then right after takeoff, the flaps were stuck.
Oh yes, I did see that. And was there?
They circled around.
There
and
was
came
also
back.
another one with the landing gear on fire that they had to land. This is all giving me a lot of anxiety. I'm going on a trip in a couple months. I haven't flown in a while.
You're not going very far,
dude. And the plane that flipped over.
Yeah,
that was coming from MSP.
That was coming from MSP. Yeah, but so this one, yeah, they circled a while because they didn't want to land on a full tank of gas. They were filled up to fly all the way to Amsterdam, and they wouldn't be able to use the flaps. Are for helping the plane slow down. It's not for steering. It's for wind resistance. So they were going to have to stop with the full weight of this fully loaded international jet and a full tank of gas with just the brakes. Yikes. So they tried to burn off some of the fuel by circling, and then they landed, and it was like a near perfect landing. And I read about that because I've been, since the last episode and since the helicopter crash, I've just been keeping up on planes. So I heard about it, come to find out the next day, it was that same uncle who landed the plane because that's his normal route.
Your uncle landed
Your
that
uncle
plane?
landed that plane?
Mm-hmm, that was him.
Ooh.
But he
Dude,
was...
That's why God kept him alive. We need better pilots.
Well, and then 4 days later, Frito-Lay tries to take him out. But
That's the conspiracy, bro.
Well, he said...
Big food taking out
Yeah.
big pilot.
Big pilot. No, I asked him and he said, no, there's nothing weird about it. It was just a regular maintenance thing.
Oh, man.
But-
Dude, they tried twice.
What a hero.
They tried to take him out by rigging up the plane.
Yeah, this guy's got a target on his back.
And then they're
Gotta
like,
make it
you know
look
what?
like an
He's out there
accident.
snowmobiling. Send the chip truck.
Well, he was in the Air Force for 20 years.
to his
Send
social
the
media?
18-wheeler full of snacks.
We have to time this perfectly.
We need to hit him with highly
Nothing's more
processed
embarrassing
food.
than dying under a bag of Funyuns.
Quick, take the yield sign off of the trail. He'll never see it coming.
Man.
Well, prayers up for your uncle.
Thank you. I'm going to visit him tomorrow.
Dang.
Well, for me, the big news is Donna Paulson's back on the road.
Oh.
Yeah.
About time. It only
Donna,
took you
I can't keep
4
up
months.
with what you're naming your
Yeah, well, so we got
machines these days.
we got Donna Paulson, and if you watch Suits, you'll know who that is.
Oh yeah, I know who Donna is. I forgot her
the
last
fiery
name.
redhead, man, for sure. That is my Lexus GX 460. We were having transmission issues. Brought it to Lexus, and I was hoping Lexus would say, "Oh yeah, this happens occasionally. Here's what this is, and it's this part." And no, they were straight up like, "Yep, needs a new transmission." That was it. They're like, no info. Sales guy, white boy Rick, comes out and hands me, a stack of paperwork, and they want $18,000 to fix this thing, which is insane because it's not worth that much. I didn't even pay that much for it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful vehicle though. You've done a lot of good work to it.
Yeah, it's in great shape. And then, of course, the salesman pivot is, oh, well, we can always take it in on trade and, get you just into something new. And it's like, yeah, Lexus money. Yeah, that ain't me. that ain't me, guy.
Unless it's like a 2010 or something.
I bought this used from a trust fund kid. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know, $600 in parts. And so it's been a week. So we'll see.
Well, that's
Hopefully
a lot
the code
better than
doesn't come back,
$18,000.
but way better.
So what did you end up doing with the 600?
There's a company called Sonics. They are an aftermarket transmission specialist type company. They had an article, they had a write-up where they seemed to identify an issue with this specific transmission. So for those of you listening who maybe aren't car people or are car people, the same transmission in my Lexus GX 460 is the same transmission in the Tundra, the Toyota Tundra, and the same transmission in the Toyota Sequoia. So it's not like it's anything fancy, special Lexus. This is Toyota products.
Yeah, the internal guts of the thing are pretty much Toyota.
Pretty much Toyota.
Yeah.
They seem to identify that there's wear and tear that happens in the valve body, which causes line pressure. You lose line pressure, which is important for your clutch packs, all of your gears in your transmission to be able to switch gears efficiently and effectively and not burn out and shred each other up. They make a zip kit, which is supposed to restore that line pressure. And then I bought a new solenoids. And so we pulled the valve body out of the transmission. Really complex
So this is a job that can easily be done by the average man by himself in the garage watching YouTube tutorials.
Well, and,
right?
and full disclosure, like as much as I think of myself as a car guy, I know more than what I can do. So I might understand the problem.
YouTube Shorts.
The confidence in being able to fix the problem is another story.
Yeah.
But I've got a buddy who's an engineer. The dude's brilliant. He's a car guy. And so we do all this stuff together. I wouldn't be able to do it without him. So I'm definitely not.
I totally get that. You're like, I know what to do, but the look before you leap,
yes.
Because if you get too far into a project,
I have the strength to do it.
Yeah. And if you can't back out at a certain point.
Right. So just having that, that person who you can fire off questions to. And what's funny is he had really low confidence in this, not in this solution, but just in our ability to not screw this up. Because it's a really complex thing. I think I shared those pictures with you guys. It's like
it looks like a computer,
a multi-level maze.
Yeah.
I mean, just look up the inside of a valve body. Yeah, it's a big maze. You have check balls that go inside of these different areas, and we installed the zip
balls
kit
and Russian balls.
check balls and Russian balls. Yeah, strange for an Asian vehicle.
Yeah, sneaked over the border there.
Yeah. So we got all that installed, all put back together, and everything's been running great since. And so, hey, word to the wise, if you have a P2714 code, I think is what it is the solenoid D performance code, check it out. You might not need a new transmission. Now, the difference is, when we drop the valve body, we're able to see the clutch packs, and those are the gear, in layman's terms, like the gears, and those are the things that rub together as you change gears. Usually when you burn out a transmission, it's because the clutch packs are worn, and you'll see glitter in the pan. I mean, you'll see sparkles and glitter from all the metal that's worn. When we dropped this thing, it was clean. Super clean. I mean, the packs looked in great condition. So I don't know what Lexus or Toyota is smoking with this whole
they want your money.
I know, but I'm still a big believer in the brand, regardless of how the deal. And
it's all about the business philosophy of the company is sound, but you're still going to have to deal with some shenanigans at any given dealership, unfortunately. But they are one of the. I'm looking to buy a car. They're one of the highest ranked dealerships in the state. Yeah. Or at least in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
So,
well, and to be fair to them, it's guaranteed to solve the problem. It's a one and done fix, and so they don't want to monkey around with like, oh, we put in a new valve body or we rebuilt it and it's still having issues. And that was $4,000 to do that. And so now, no, they just say, hey, we're going to replace the whole thing. That's a guaranteed solution for you. It's good money for us. We're not going to get involved in anything in between.
It's just good business. I mean, I hate to say it, but
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't get it. I mean, $600, so long as it's successful, just saved me $18,000.
It's only pragmatic for one of the parties involved.
No, yeah, it's not a win-win.
Like it's laughable, but I do understand their position as well. So
yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's my
How did it feel to be back behind the wheel for the first time in months?
Dude, it was wild. I was driving Howard Hughes. We name our cars over here. That's our thing. So Howard Hughes is my pilot. That's
yeah.
You guys know who Howard Hughes is, so
I should.
The Aviator, man.
Yeah, I know
the movie with
that's
Leonardo DiCaprio. It. But Howard Hughes is a famous
1940s pilot, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so I was driving him, and he's fine. I mean, the Honda's great, but missed the crap out of my Lexus. So it's nice.
One drives like a truck, and the other one drives like a minivan.
That's probably fair. Yeah. The Lexus drives like a truck. It's body on frame. V8.
But smooth.
You got the power.
I'm glad you're back in it.
Yeah, I got the all-terrain tires on there.
And that's your car then?
Yep.
The one you're taking around town.
Yep.
Showing
it's
off.
Smaller. That's partly why, too.
The Lexus is smaller than the Pilot?
It's smaller.
Interesting.
Yep. I got 7 seats in the Lexus, 8 seats in the Pilot.
Oh.
But the interior of the Pilot is much bigger.
Yeah.
So just as a family vehicle, everyone fits better. This week on Midwest Nonsense. The Midwest ain't big enough for all this nonsense. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
we're gonna try something new, something exciting, something really exciting. Are you guys ready?
It's so juicy.
Brought to you exclusively by MyFeed. MyFeed has all the essential mental vitamins you need to get through your miserable day on this floating planet. MyFeed works by targeting the brain's most brilliant, creative, and inspiring areas and shutting them down with copious amounts of depression brought on by the collective mass stupidity of current society and culture. Take MyFeed as much as you can every day. Do not use MyFeed while pregnant or nursing, or you may become double pregnant. MyFeed may cause deep bouts of depression, anger, rage, suicidal ideation, nihilism, narcissism, a desire to comment and engage with the intellectual low and middle class, an extreme distaste for government control, and a bitterness towards those who cheer it on, diarrhea, a pining for nature, or a dopamine-draining doom scroll addiction. We're going to try to analyze what's in each of our feeds.
Be a good one.
I had more trouble with this than I thought, just because over the past 3 years, I've unfollowed so many people.
Right?
And I couldn't find them anymore. I was like, I know I'm still friends with them, but I don't remember which one of them.
You're better.
I never unfriend, so I've got plenty of data to look at today.
Yeah, I was going to say you're better than me. Although, so it depends on the platform, because on Facebook, I have
Facebook's so triggering, man.
Not unfriended.
I
but
unfollow.
unfollowed.
I don't unfriend. Yeah.
Highly.
Yeah, and so then I was stuck as I was looking through that. So I have a non-personal one that I pulled, but Ben, you look queued up, ready to go. So feed my starving algorithm.
Everybody remembers those goths that never grew up.
Yes, we do. They look like homeless now.
I mean, you can kind of see, if I can even zoom in, I'm not going to say the names of anybody, but
yeah, maybe let's not dox anybody.
Yeah, exactly. But he did a repost here. It says, "We should never forget this. History books will show him as the true villain he's always been." Now, I'm not an Elon Musk stan or fan or whatever you call it, but there's absolutely no evidence behind this. It's just some sort of tweet that says the shit posting robot. Does anyone else remember when Elon was like, if anyone knows how to end world hunger for $6 billion, I'll fund it. And UNICEF was like, we're going to spend a month to make a plan and end world hunger for $6 billion. And Elon is going to fund it. And Elon was actually like, nah, and then bought Twitter instead. I think that was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. And then someone responds below that, I still think that should be the thing for which he's most famous. It should be brought up every time he's mentioned in any news article, any interview, any history book. Elon Musk, who was offered a chance to end world hunger and turned it down, put it on his effing gravestone. So I don't even know, what's the point of this? This is just all opinions. I bet that story has absolutely no legs to it.
Well,
there was a thing.
He posted.
I do remember he mentioned that, but everyone knows that's not. You can't just throw a chunk of money at something.
What he said was, if you find me the organization that I can donate to, that will ensure that this money goes to the appropriate places.
There was a condition behind the money,
and it perfectly made sense. It's like, I'm not going to throw these billions of dollars.
We need to find this here.
Yeah,
at any old thing. Yeah, let's find what it actually was.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's stuff like this that just gets triggering. I mean, I'm above it. That's why I didn't comment.
What I hate about this is it
subconsciously gets in people's minds, though, that this type of stuff is legit.
CNN Business article, 2% of Elon Musk's wealth could solve world hunger, says director of UN Food Scarcity Organization. So this guy says, fact check, 2% of Elon's wealth is $6 billion. In 2020, the UN World Food Program raised $8.4 billion. How come it didn't solve world hunger? So then you have Elon Musk replying to all this. If the WFP can describe on this Twitter thread exactly how $6 billion will solve world hunger, I will sell Tesla stock right now and do it. So to your point, he's admitting it's not liquid, it's in Tesla stock, but I'll sell Tesla stock and we'll solve world hunger.
And what do you think would happen to the stock and everyone who has ownership in it if he sold $6 billion shares?
Oh, it would more than compensate for that overnight. Everybody would buy Tesla stock.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
There would be a big drop in value.
Huge, yeah. You'd lose all confidence because the guy who's the reason Tesla's
But the reason
worth
that
anything.
He's selling the stock is why people would go buy it.
And you may have public outcry
point,
going.
But
Yeah.
I'm just saying it would rock the company. You know, you've got a massive company.
You know what? He's got a fair point though.
Sure.
Like that hits the news. People go nuts. Wow, billionaire solving world hunger. I want to support a guy like
Plus,
that.
selling $6 billion worth of stock in that company lowers the cost of those stocks for all the
share
people who want
price
to buy
would go
in.
down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so arguably the company doesn't.
I'm not that worried about the share price of Tesla.
Yeah.
Who cares about Tesla? But yeah.
So he throws it in there with the caveat. Musk does, saying, but it must be open source accounting so the public sees precisely how the money is spent. How ironic that you bring this up during this whole Doge thing, because this has been Musk's whole deal. And when was this? 2021 is what I'm reading. October 26, 2021 was the CNN business article. And so like that's his deal is he wants everybody to see how this money is spent. Where's it going? And that makes sense because according to this guy's tweet, the organization
already had more than enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. $2 billion more than what they needed.
It's sad that they didn't want to be transparent with the spending. We could have ended world hunger 3 years ago.
Let me see.
Crazy.
4 years ago.
Let's find one more. So this is another one. Guy I went to college with, a missionary, or at least he was. And this is actually very common for the people in the mission field that I used to be a part of. They've got this, like I mentioned to you guys, this very empathetic heart, but they're like buying into anything that they see. I wonder what you guys think about this. So he reposted something. His comment is, excellent take on why I reject nationalism. One can have national pride and care for one's family and care for others. There need not be, nor are we commanded to have a restriction upon our love, and it's extra biblical, meaning not biblical, to accept that notion. Read on for a better explanation. So this is by somebody named Pastor Brandon.
Pastor Brandon looks like Stone Cold Austin.
Steve Austin, if Steve Austin never worked out and was just bald and fat. Oh, man. It says... I'm trying to think of a clever... Stone Old Austin. As much as I don't want to touch this one, well, sir, you don't have to, first and foremost. J.D. Vance stepped inside the love God and love others conversation, so I felt compelled to respond. Vance's statement might sound like a Christian concept, but it's actually the exact opposite of what Jesus taught. Nowhere in Scripture does Jesus command us to prioritize love based on proximity, nationality, or citizenship. In fact, he repeatedly destroys that kind of thinking. In Luke 10, when a lawyer tries to justify who he's required to love, Jesus responds with the Good Samaritan, a story where the hero is the very outsider Jewish society despised. The point? Love isn't about who's closest or most familiar. It's about who needs it. In Matthew 5-7, Jesus obliterates tribalism. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. No caveats, no hierarchy. The fact he used the word hierarchy is very triggering to me. In Luke 4, Jesus stands in his hometown synagogue and reminds them that God has always shown grace to outsiders, and they try to throw him off a cliff for it. Vance's Christian concept isn't Christian. It's a survivalist model. It's what we were taught in disaster relief. Start with the family, then widen your circles outward.
Oh my gosh,
that's practical for triage, but it's not biblical love. Jesus doesn't command us. I can't wait to hear your response. Jesus doesn't command us to rank our compassion. He commands us to love without restriction. This isn't a theological mistake by JD. It's gaslighting and politically distorting Scripture and the heart of Jesus. Christians are now being told that Jesus' radical, all-encompassing love is actually a misinterpretation, and that the real Christian way is to love selectively, starting with your own tribe. Let's see, where was I?
I don't know.
That's not the gospel.
Pastor Brandon is an
idiot.
Lowbrow. This is as bad as a Kamala word salad. This is junk.
It's all, first of all, really emotional language, number one. Number two, it's illogical. I mean, what does Jesus say? Let's just take one other thing that Jesus says or the Bible says. How should you love others? You should love them as you love yourself. That means you have to have some knowledge of how you need to take care of yourself in order to even give that love out. It's not like we're some supernatural being, that has...
You're 100% right. And speaking of along the lines of all these planes going down, secure your mask before helping others.
Exactly.
Period. That's with everything. You can take that and extend that principle to every area of your life.
You're
How
gonna
can I help
die
my
if you help
kids
your
or
kid
my
first.
family?
Yeah.
If I'm suffering myself and I'm not capable. And then how dare I go out if my family's a wreck, how dare I go outside of my family and push whatever garbage I want in the government if my own household is a disaster.
What frustrates me too, Drew, is like you've got it's incredibly illogical. I mean, even if you just want to take it into the theological realm, fine, you can make it seem like, but here's the thing, like we're talking about the reality that we as humans are created to be in smaller tribes, to be in smaller communities. We don't have this capacity to be able to love everyone in the world. God can do that. He's got that capability. And not only that, if your theology is correct, I would say, because of our original sin, we're all enemies of God to begin with, that he needs to redeem back to him. So this fact, you get into a dangerous territory with this, calling this the gospel in general, that like everybody's loved by God without exception, period. I mean,
well, and what like we throw the most loaded word around ever. He's talking about love in the context of the vice president of the United States. Sorry, pastor, I don't want my government to love. First of all, whatever that even means.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Just
one
have some
person's love
compassion.
is another person's enabling. One person's love is another person's hate speech. Like we don't even agree on what this thing called love looks like, let alone you want God's love, your version of a religious love in the government. I'm sorry, that is so far beyond the scope of what anybody, I think truly anybody wants government to be.
I love you too much to let you keep living this way. And then they say, stop fat shaming me.
Right.
No,
Right.
go on a diet.
Right.
I care about
It doesn't
you.
make sense. I mean, here's the thing. You can't, if you've got a country or a businour or anything you're
Is this
running.
specifically about immigration? Is that
This is about, he was calling this nationalism because our vice president wants to care for the country that he was elected to run before helping other people outside. And it's about,
Here's what I
It's
love
probably
about this
about
virtue
how
signaling.
they cut the funding to other countries.
yeah, well, like
This
Donations.
dude will
this
have
dude's church is not doing. If you care so much,
Right.
let your church. How about you do a whole
How many
post
people
about
you
your
got sleeping
freaking
on the
church is
floor in
going
your
to.
church?
Yeah, exactly. Let's not act like the government needs to be paying for these people. This is why churches have lost their ability to impact culture in any shape or form. Not only that, I watched a video the other day too about how, and this was a light bulb moment for me back in like the 60s, 70s. I think it was the 60s, LBJ put something into motion that in order to get your 501c3 status, you could not say certain things from the pulpit. So if you're saying anything that goes against the government, you could lose that 501c3 status. So that's why we've seen like drag in frickin' Catholic churches or your Protestant churches, you name it. And
Also because they like it.
but all that saying, I mean, like, all that said,
bro, why do you got a problem with entertainment and church?
All that said, man, that's why you've got guys like this virtue signaling without fear of, their congregation coming
Yeah.
at them.
It's just the laziest
it's
form
so
of
scary.
look at me, look at I don't get it. I don't get it. None of it makes sense. Even if you're going to take the position of that we should have a Christian government, it still doesn't make any sense. What are you doing?
Well, and
what are you doing
What I
specifically?
hate about this is like you can't separate truth and love when it comes to the gospel or or just those two things are paired. If you don't have those two things paired, neither works well. And it's really frustrating to me when you take away the truth of the fact, like it's a pragmatic truth that you need to have a strong country to help another country.
Right.
And to help other
Secure
citizens.
your mask
Like,
before assisting others.
It's just,
Yep.
you can't argue that. It's ridiculous. If you're not able to stand up, how are you going to lift someone else up?
Right.
And that same thing ring true. I'll just show you one more before you can get into whatever you got, Drew. I'm excited to see it too. But this was another person that, again, Christian, empathetic person, but is falling for the same exact kind of philosophy. Her status was, let's be clear, no one is upset about reviewing wasteful government spending. What we are not going to be quiet about is the Trump-Musk administration's belief that they are not accountable to anyone and that cancer research, Medicaid, and Social Security, lunch money, and other funding for hardworking people in this country who continue to pay taxes is somehow the wasteful spending, so we can further line the pockets of Musk and other billionaires in this country. I truly do not understand this. This is a longer version of a video I shared previously and has so much more context that is seriously mind-blowing.
Are you going to make us sit through the video?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
This is just a screenshot, so I don't have to watch this. But
the status was enough. I'm so sick of this whole billionaires looking to line their pockets. People have no concept of money. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I am fully in agreement here. And this is what pisses me off is just because you name the program, like Social Security came out this last week. We know there's millions, like 3 million people that are getting paid that are over 120 years old, that are over 150 years old, that are over, there's like 13,000 people that Trump said are getting paychecks still that are over 200 years old. And you're telling me that can't be, just because it's Social Security, that's a buzzword. Oh, don't mess with my Social Security. That's not wasteful spending. Do you realize if you got that same money and put that into an investment account that was just like in the S&P 500, you'd probably have 25 times the amount of money by the time you retire that you're going to get paid out in Social Security. And people that don't have the intelligence to do that and that have to live off Social Security, it's just a horrible system. It's like giving someone fast food when they could have had a steak dinner every night. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
It drives me nuts. It's really mind-blowing to me that we actually have a government, something going on in government that's actually reviewing spending, because, you know, it's just ridiculous. It's like we spend $10,000 to create a hot dog, and that because it's a hot dog, we should keep, creating that. There's like no connecting the dots. I don't know.
So since you brought this up, I wrote this down earlier, and so you brought it up. I have a question first, and then I have an ironic point to make. I don't know how the Social Security Department actually works. Are those bonds, or what are those? It's an investment. I mean, they're taking your money and they're investing it over.
Well, I don't even know if there is a reserve fund anymore, or at some point the reserve fund will run out. And it's literally IOUs. So it's current workers are funding the people that are currently on Social Security, and there's not enough workers to back up.
So it's
all the
not
boomers.
An investment product at all.
At one point, I know it was. I don't know if it still has enough invested to actually continue.
I see.
That's a deep dive worth having.
I see. So just to be clear on this part. So when my check comes through and I see my line item for Social Security is taken taxes out. Yep. That amount goes to the federal government and then gets basically resent out to somebody else who's receiving Social Security. So exactly. I'm subsidizing a person who's older than me.
Correct.
So the old,
same with Medicare,
retired is taking from the young. That one I might just leave in there.
Impeccable timing.
It is pretty fantastic timing. But the old are taken from the young, which I'm not making a moral statement about that. Okay, whatever. We've decided that's how it works. So, but what you're saying is that there would need to be reserves in order to grow that, and there aren't reserves. We're basically just passing the buck from the young to the old immediately.
Yep. And Social Security is like, I'd have to look at the numbers, but that and Medicare are within the top 5 biggest line items for the government's budget every single year.
So here was my comment, thinking that Social Security might have been an investment vehicle, because I know what people say, and specifically advisors will say, like, if we got rid of Social Security and everybody just invested that same amount into the S&P 500, we would have no issues. Everyone would be able to retire.
But the government doesn't control the S&P 500, do they?
No, they do not.
So that's why they want their hand in the middle.
In a roundabout way.
Correct.
Anyways, this was my comment. If Social Security was something that they still had investment, an investment surrounding it, How can the government be so bad at investing when it's made up of politicians that absolutely crush investing?
Right. Get Dan Crenshaw a job doing that, right?
For real. What's Nancy Pelosi's salary? Okay, now what's her net worth? How does that work? You know, and if you don't know it, look it up. That's pretty ridiculous. Interesting. Makes $140,000 a year or something crazy. But her net worth is like $45 million. It's nuts.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, they've even built ETFs that follow the Republican stock pickers and the Democrat stock pickers. And
that's called criminal activity. Not the ETFs, but the.
And technically, I guess Social Security funds are invested in. They say special issue U.S. government security. So I imagine like U.S. bonds.
I think they used to go towards bonds, and then
these investments help manage the surplus contributions. Yeah, which I don't think there is. At least there won't be surplus contributions for long, because when the program was introduced, the life expectancy was like 2 or 3 years after 65. So that, you know, if everyone's dying,
well, now they're trying to raise the age of life expectancy, which would raise the age that you can retire and start claiming these benefits.
Well, yes.
So now you're working till you're 70.
Well, right. There's a full retirement
come on,
age.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, I love the work. Yeah,
let's love that. Huh?
The full retirement age is still age. It's been that way for a while, where your age, you know, differs depending on when you were born, and you can still take it earlier. You just get a smaller payout at 62.
Significantly less, yeah.
What I want to know is what these people mean by Elon Musk and Donald Trump, these billionaires, what they're doing. How are they lining their pockets? How does this work?
They're literally talking about giving us money back for the wasteful spending.
We had a guy, it's all fear. We had a guy call into work 2 nights ago.
I can't, it's just every time.
And he asks my coworker, who asked me, because she didn't know the answer, the guy says, does your company have any plan in place for those of us who are on payment plans with you? Do you have any plan in place for when Trump takes away my Social Security benefits?
I know this stuff is commonly believed.
He thinks that Trump is going to take his only source of income, leaving him homeless, so he's a further burden on society and doesn't have any money to put back into the economy. This man thought that was...
That's a great way to put it.
Trump doesn't want to
critical thinking.
Trump doesn't want to take away your money. It doesn't line his pockets. Your money fuels the economy that you are part of.
Exactly.
Here's what people need to understand, and this is why I tend to lean on trusting these billionaires more than anybody else, because they have nothing to gain.
Yeah.
These billionaires,
they could never
think
spend
about
all their
the
money.
lifestyle of a billionaire, and I know all these people complaining about it, they can't even fathom the opportunities that there are for somebody with $1 billion. And here's one thing you can do with these people that make these comments. If you had a billion, 1 billion, would you work again? Every single person fear-mongering this whole Trump and Musk are just trying to line their pockets with my money.
That is a great point.
They don't give a shit about your $500 a week. They don't care.
Exactly.
They don't care. And here's how we can do this little test. If you had $1 billion, would you work another day in your life? And the answer is going to be no. You know what you're going to do? You're going to go off on a journey of 45 years of luxury. That's what you're going to do. You're going to travel everywhere you possibly can, buy every little thing your heart desires. You're going to ride in the Bugatti. You're going to do that, the yacht lifestyle. What are these guys doing? Are they doing that? No. You know why? Because they got the money. It's no longer about the money. Now it's about a legacy. Now it's about doing something to with their name.
Well, and
that's
the
what
ones
it's
that
about.
do that, you know, Musk is the rare exception of someone who's actually putting his time and efforts into making a change that's not diabolical. But think about
that we know of, yeah.
That we know of. I'm still on the fence about him. But
well, yes, I'm not.
As far as principles,
I'm not going to
go,
blindly follow him at all. But my point is that they think these billionaires are, they're the ones running the country. They're evil. Guess who was running the country the last 4 years? You don't think billionaires, George Soros, all these other people weren't doing things to advance their interests?
Well, it's the same thing with this illusion, the illusion that they have that all this money is liquid. that these billionaires have.
People
It's
don't
like-
understand
it's like
anything
people-
beyond liquid cash.
No, they have
because they're
this
poor.
picture stuck in their head of Scrooge McDuck diving
Swimming.
into a vault of gold coins and swimming in it, and that's what they think these people do. No.
It's
They'll never see the majority of their money.
Bustin, what you got? You got one?
I got a few more lighthearted ones. The useless and very unintelligent POTUS has spent his time and our tax dollars renaming the once great Gulf of Mexico to the very weak and sad name Gulf of America. The inbred anti-DEI efforts of our Republican friends led us into the stupidest executive order in history. Sad. I should mention that punctuated throughout this paragraph is the little OK emoji symbol.
Isn't that the white supremacist symbol? They
No,
came out a
it's-
couple years ago
he's-
saying that was white supremacist.
he's doing
because
it-
it's white power.
Yes,
if
but
you do
he's
this,
doing it because
it's asshole in sign language. I'm kidding.
you need to be reading this as if he is saying it in Trump's voice. So Trump's doing the
Oh,
OK hand
okay.
signal throughout.
This was a man that posted that status.
America's ego isn't so wounded that we need useless gesticulations to feel valid. Right, Donald? Isn't there work to do? Cough. Bricks. Cough. And I just think it's funny. Think about this. Where is America?
Mm-hmm.
Where is Mexico? Central America. North America, Central America,
Exactly.
South America.
They're all Americas.
They're all America.
They're all Americas.
Renaming it the Gulf of America is actually more inclusive.
Well,
Not
And
only
also-
more accurate,
What
but
did he mean
Mexico only has 40 miles more of shoreline on the Gulf than the USA does. Only 40 more.
What did he mean by the once great Gulf of Mexico? Like, when is anybody like the majestic Gulf of Mexico?
not only that,
Because
but how is it?
we're reading it in Trump's voice. So it's
Okay.
the once great.
The once
Gulf.
great Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America.
Mexico really went downhill. We need to
Another
replace
quick
it.
You know,
Post.
this actually is quite DEI. I don't understand it is.
This is more DEI
We're
than it ever
including
was.
more people because the Americas, not one, but two, but three.
We're including the
countries of
mermaids
America.
under the water in the Gulf.
All these reporters insist
Very
on
good-looking
dead naming
mermaids,
the
quite
Gulf.
honestly.
How can you continue to dead name the Gulf?
One more quick one.
Gulf, I like Gulf.
Same person
Play golf.
posted. If it's not
No
a
one loves
Nazi,
golf more than me.
no one more than me. If it's not a Nazi salute, then go ahead and post a picture of yourself doing it too. Go ahead, do it. And then multiple people posted the actual video of Musk gesticulating and how it clearly wasn't a salute and how
Let's
it was
maybe
taken
not
out
have
of context.
the amped up autistic guy go
Well,
out there and give a
for the,
speech right away.
For anybody who actually follows our podcast, go on
We've
to our
discussed this.
TikTok. And during the campaign with Tampon Tim Jong Walls,
He has a great clip of it, yeah.
yeah, the Midwest Sense posted a TikTok of dear Kim Jong Tampon Tim doing his little Nazi salute. That's on there.
Yeah.
Kamala's
didn't go
done it.
nuts about that.
AOC has done it.
Oh, there's pictures of
Clinton has done
everybody.
it.
Clinton, Obama, everybody.
Anything can be
This whole
taken
thing
out of
is
context with a
ridiculous.
picture.
This whole thing is ridiculous.
Trust actions at the end of the day, not emotions.
The guy who kicked off Kanye West from Twitter for being too anti-Semitic is a closet Nazi. That's the guy. Okay. Yeah. All right. Ridiculous. So I've got this tweet from Robert Garcia, who is congressman and 28th mayor of Long Beach. And according to his, are people calling it Twix now? Twitter and X? I heard people calling it Twix.
Let's do that. I like it better than X or Twitter.
Me too. Twix. According to his Twix bio, he is an educator and urbanist. This extremely disingenuous way of talking about reality is really enough to cause mental illness. Trying to fabricate these attacks on civil rights. I'll read you what I'm talking about here. So Robert Garcia's Twitter post says, "So if you criticize Elon Musk, Trump's DOJ will send you this letter. Members of Congress must have the right to forcefully oppose the Trump administration. I will not be silenced." This is what he's all up in arms about. He receives a letter from Edward R. Martin Jr. This is from the Department of Justice. "Dear Representative Garcia, As United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, I receive requests for information and clarification. I take these requests seriously and act on them with letters like this one you are receiving. At this time, I respectfully request that you clarify your comments from February 12th, 2025, during a live interview with CNN. When asked how Democrats can stop Elon Musk, you spoke clearly, quote, "What the American public wants is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight for democracy," end quote. This sounds to some like a threat to Mr. Musk, an appointed representative of President Donald Trump, who you call a quote unquote dick, and government staff who work for them. Their concerns have led to this inquiry. We take threats against public officials very seriously. I look forward to your cooperation with my letter of inquiry after request. Thank you in advance for your assistance. Please respond by February 24th. Should you have further questions regarding this matter, please do not hesitate to call my office or schedule time to meet in person. And so I love how they're trying to act like this is freedom of speech for them to be able to say this. He blatantly threatened violence. I don't understand what else you could mean by the American public wants us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight for democracy. I find this hilarious, and I find anybody who buys this garbage retarded, because here's why. The Democratic Party is the party who has coined the phrase threat against democracy. This is a threat against democracy. You know what a threat against democracy is? When the American people vote and speak that this is what they want, and you actively fight against that.
Exactly.
That is the threat against democracy. America spoke. This is the guy that they want. And here's the ironic thing is the guy is fulfilling his campaign promises.
Exactly.
Which is what America voted for.
It's rare.
So if it is rare. So if you're against that, you're against democracy. Let the dude do his job. And if he's so bad, we should be able to trust the American people to choose somebody different next time. But this is what they picked for now. So for you to blatantly go against that and try to make up some weird thing that America wants you to take up arms and fight this guy, as if America didn't just pick this guy not even a month ago.
Right.
Well, I guess back in November, but I mean,
comical.
the guy hasn't even been in office for a month. This is ridiculous.
It's just comical.
It's
absolutely
crazy.
ridiculous.
And it's very sad that, I mean, we knew this was going to happen, but how much the media is portraying him as this person who's going to ruin your life, and he's blowing up everything. And there's just, it's the bull in a china shop approach, because like, let's stop and actually, I always say this, no matter who's in office, what's changed in your actual life? You know, if you like,
well, the problem with that perspective though is this has been a slowly cooking of the frog.
It has.
This has been a
well, and it's very fast. You know,
taking a link out of the dog's chain.
Sure.
You know, once a week or something before the dog realizes that, wow, I have no chain left. That otherwise, I would agree with you. We put way too much stock and power into what the Fed and the president can do to our individual daily lives. But
and I'm thinking about this more on the people that are like, have been on the left, have been living in this world of a giant government that's just grown and grown and grown and grown. And now when we're trying to change things that are actually probably in your best interest, if you really were to think about it, they're freaking out and they think that the government's going to collapse from underneath itself. Right. And it's, I
see people like this jackass, Mick East, his Twix tag at Mick Siegel. He says, Representative Garcia is obviously using a metaphor. He puts in all caps. Trump, if he's quoting Trump, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country, but they're not going to sell those cars. Okay, idiot Mick East. This is what I've said for the last 15 years now. Our country is falling apart due to the degradation of language. Mm-hmm. That's what's going on here right now. You know what bloodbath means? They all want to say President Trump used violent rhetoric when using the term bloodbath. Bloodbath is an economic word. That's its dictionary definition. A major economic disaster. Look it up. That's what bloodbath means. A market bloodbath. A major economic disaster. So when President Trump, the full context, when he's talking about how, hey, the auto industry is going to suffer a bloodbath if I don't get in office and implement this strategy.
Wasn't he talking to auto workers too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I referenced cars at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and he even quoted the car piece in there.
Right, he even quoted the car piece in there. So is this disingenuous, or are these people that illiterate and stupid? And what's crazy is I'm not a genius.
I think you're on the last. Yeah, I know. I think
I'm
it's the latter these days. I'm
Like,
not even kidding.
Anybody who's listened to any of these episodes, I'm a freaking moron. Like
we're all just trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, but there's no reason for somebody like me to be able to see right through this. So you are either extremely disingenuous, you're intellectually dishonest, or you're stupid. You're either a liar or you're stupid. And I'm having trouble now seeing that these people are actually liars. I'm starting to think they're actually this stupid. Because how can you carry on this much lie this long? I don't get it. And maybe it's RFK. Maybe he's the middle ground. He's a Democrat for you idiots out there. He is a Democrat. Okay,
they're told
we had a Republican reach across the aisle and put a Democrat in office, and you're still pissed about that. That's how you know you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Exactly, and I think they're told what they're supposed to believe, and they're too, like, people are too lazy to look into anything. I mean, that's a great example there. You're quoting something completely out of context with confidence that you're saying the right thing, and it's only because there's this belief system that's been built up where they're just going to go forward with that, continuing to feed into that narrative and repeat that narrative. And the longer you repeat something, the more it becomes truth in today's culture. Truth doesn't actually have to be truth anymore. It's just the more you can repeat it, it becomes propaganda and people buy into it no matter what. And that's what's scary to me.
This whole thing is nuts. Anyways, if you have anything you want to share on Midwest nonsense, shoot us an email, get after us with a DM, hit us up on Twix, let us know what you've got, and we'll put it in an episode. I promise. I promise. The Midwest ain't big enough for all this nonsense. All right, moving on to a Midwest sense of the news. A couple of local things to talk about.
Good evening. I'm Jaime Smith. You're listening to Midwest Sense News.
Oh, man. This is a sad one. This is a scary one. And I think you've got something on it, Uncle Bustin. Mm-hmm. Minnesota Supreme Court. Interior of your vehicle is a public place. Yeah, let's kick it on over to you, Uncle Bustin.
Yeah, so for some context, what we're talking about, this case is a couple of years old. The guy stole a catalytic converter, gets caught, gets pulled over. When they're searching the vehicle, they find a BB gun under the front seat. Not in a case, easy access. The guy has a record, can't own a firearm in the first place. And the tricky thing is BB guns are not classified as firearms. That's why you can go to the store, and as long as you're over 18, you can buy one, take one home, no background check or anything. But in a public place, it is considered along the same lines as presenting a shotgun or a rifle in public. It's a gross misdemeanor to do that. Now, with it in his vehicle, if he had a concealed carry permit that was valid in Minnesota, he wouldn't have been in any trouble. If he had that BB gun in a case or even in the trunk, he wouldn't have been charged with any kind of gun crime. So back to BB guns are not classified as firearms unless used in conjunction with a crime being committed. So if I rob you or a gas station and I have a BB gun and I'm pretending it's a real gun, they're going to charge me with a gun crime as if it were a real gun because that was my intended use of it.
Can we just point out that this guy's name is BB?
I wanted to
His
get into
last
that.
name, right?
Pronounce his first name. Full name.
Kia BB.
Kya BB. Middle name is
baby
B-E.
or is it
Middle name is B-E.
The
Last
court
name is
case
B-E-E.
dealt with,
Kya BB.
according to the Star Tribune, the court case dealt with a BB gun stuffed under the front seat of Kia BB's car in St. Paul in 2022 that was discovered after a traffic stop and subsequent search. He was charged with a gross misdemeanor because he, quote, did not have a permit to carry a firearm in public. The charge was dismissed in Ramsey County District Court because Judge Leonardo Castro ruled that state law did not clearly define the interior of a privately owned car as a public place. That decision was overturned by the Minnesota Court of Appeals, which determined when a rifle or shotgun is in a car on a public road, it is in a public place. That interpretation was upheld Wednesday by the state Supreme Court. That is insane.
So let's, just to give a bit more background,
Or like the Babylon Bee.
for instance, because
Star Trek.
this ruling has nothing to do with illegal search or seizure or the Fourth Amendment. They would still, unless there's probable cause, you've committed a crime and they have now the right to search a vehicle without a warrant, they can't search a vehicle without a warrant. So back when I worked at the gun store years ago, anytime I would sell a gun to a new gun owner, they'd be like, wait a second, how do I get this home? Because I don't have my permit to carry. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you can't load it. It's in the box for you already. You want the safest bet. You don't want to be bothered at all. Put it in your trunk. If you get pulled over, you're not legally required to tell an officer, whether you have a permit to carry or not, you're not required to tell them you have a firearm in the vehicle if you get pulled over. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's better to do that. It's circumstantial. So put it in the trunk if you want, but as long as you don't load it, you keep the ammo separate, so it's clear that there's no intention that you were going to go and grab that, then it's perfectly legal. Go take it home. If that person were to go in their car without their permit, load up the gun, go get pulled over, get arrested for DUI, anything, a DUI especially, let's use that example, and then the cop searches the vehicle after arresting them, finds a loaded gun, they're in possession of a loaded gun without a permit, it's considered public. It was in their vehicle, inside their personal vehicle, but they were breaking a law. Their physical proximity is in a public place. They're not in the safety and sanctity of their own home. They're out on the streets. And now they're being charged with a felony gun crime because not only did they have a loaded gun without a permit, but they were drunk while they did it, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
With this BB gun specifically, it's that kind of circumstantial thing. So this is one of those one-offs where, yeah, they're going to determine that you were carrying it in a public space because, one, that dude was committing a crime in the first place. He just got caught after stealing a catalytic converter. But also, he was banned previously from owning a firearm. So they're treating this as if it were a firearm. Side note, I have a buddy who probably, well, I'm not close with him at all. It's probably like 4 years ago or so. He got a felony because he was on the highway, had some little road rage incident, pulls out a BB gun and waves it out the window at the guy. So the guy calls the cops. The guy doesn't know it's, not a real gun. They treat it as a real gun. He gets a felony. Now he can never own a real gun.
Oh my gosh.
Is it like an airsoft gun?
No, like a BB gun.
Like an actual
Shoots
BB
little
gun?
metal BBs.
Yep.
I don't know. I just look at this whole thing as two things. This is how desperate they are to take your guns and leave you defenseless and subservient, that they would label it this way. And then the second thing is, which is, I think, as equally as nefarious, this is the beginning of the degradation of property rights. You cannot classify the interior of someone's personal property as public space. That's what this is going to set precedent for. I understand what you're saying about, all right, he's already committed a crime. He can't own this thing to begin with.
He almost got away with it in the local courts in the first place. It had to get sent up to the Supreme Court for them to change it and be like, no, and this is why. And here's another example. Can you drink in your own home?
Of course.
Can you drink in public?
I don't believe so.
You can drink in some places where it's designated. Can you drink on your way from your home to that other public place? No. But you're inside your own vehicle. You own this vehicle. You don't even have a loan out on it. You own it outright. I should be able to drink inside my vehicle, right?
That's completely different.
Why?
Because I can carry liquor in my car.
Sure, and you can carry a gun.
Consume it.
You can carry a gun legally in your car, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What if you're carrying a gun illegally? Or what if you're doing something illegal by consuming the liquor in your car?
What does this have to do with the public space?
Well, where is it?
See, the
public space is where it's illegal to drink.
But they're not.
You cannot drink in the car
that
because you can't operate a motor vehicle in public. You can go sit in your car in your driveway drunk. That's fine.
You can't.
You can if you don't have the keys in it. You can if there's no reasonable intent to drive or having driven while intoxicated.
I'd have to look that up because I've got clients that have.
I have a buddy
fallen
with
asleep drunk in their car.
I have a buddy with 3 DUIs. One of them was because he was simply sleeping in the back seat of his car, but because he had his keys on him, he got the DUI. After that, he got caught again, drunk in his vehicle, but he had intentionally left the keys elsewhere in the house or whatever.
The problem,
and they could not give him a DUI because he had no means to drive.
The problem that I have with all of this is one action is illegal. Mm-hmm. The other action is illegal depending on the person. None of these things have anything to do with being the public space. So you can't drink and drive not because the interior of your car is a private space or is a public space, but because of the danger that it presents when driving intoxicated, danger to the public. This is why they don't give a shit if you're drunk in your own home.
Right. So if you have a firearm,
you are a danger to the public.
If you have a firearm illegally in your car, even though you own your car,
it's irrelevant to the car.
Danger to the public.
If you aren't able to own a firearm and you have that firearm at home, it's still illegal. Because you are the person who
was able to have a BB gun. He just can't have it in public. That's a gross misdemeanor.
Well, and did the BB gun become illegal because he was also on a revoked driver's license and stole a catalytic converter? Or,
yes, he was in the commission of a crime and in public with a prohibited. Yeah,
therefore
A cause B.
Yeah,
that's why I prefaced all this by saying if he had done these things differently, if he simply had it in a case or in the trunk, they couldn't have included it in his charges.
Your point is that you think this is going to open up more opportunity for them to just say, hey, we did this before, so why can't we tell people in the future that this is
exactly, they're legally setting precedents.
But this
for
isn't
the
new.
Interior of your vehicle. This is new. That's why I went to the.
No, this is
so maybe
first
you get
off,
like
this
a
is
ticket.
3 years old.
No, I'm saying this.
The Supreme Court just had their ruling recently. This case is 3 years old. He was arrested for these crimes 3 years ago. Even prior to this is why I talked about my experience at the gun shop. This goes back to firearm laws. The inside of your vehicle will always be a public space. If you get pulled over and you are illegally carrying a firearm, you will be charged with it.
Wait, because the judge. So here's the legal definition. This is Minnesota statute 624.7181 subdivision 1C. Describes a public place. Public place means property owned, leased, or controlled by a governmental unit and private property that is regularly and frequently open to or made available for use by the public in sufficient numbers to give clear notice of the property's current dedication to public use, but does not include a person's dwelling, house, or premises, the place of business owned or managed by the person, or land possessed by the person, a gun show, gun shop, or hunting or target shooting facility, or the woods, fields, or waters of this state where the person is present lawfully for the purpose of hunting or target shooting or other lawful activity involving firearms.
Right. And right underneath that, penalties. Whoever carries a BB gun, rifle, or shotgun on or about the person in a public place is guilty of a gross misdemeanor.
None of this current statute definition of public place.
Just to clarify, public place for you.
Interior of a vehicle.
It doesn't exclude interior of a vehicle. So again, if I'm over in the library parking lot and I'm walking, am I in a public place? If I'm driving in the parking lot, am I suddenly in a private place?
Doesn't include or doesn't exclude is a very dangerous game.
It's ambiguous, isn't it?
There's nothing in here about a car, and it defines public place does not include person's dwelling, house, or premises, place of business owned or managed by the person. It gives a whole list of things a public place does not include.
Right.
So
it doesn't say a public place does not include your car.
well, it doesn't have to.
Is your car on your private property or is it on public property? Are you in private or public? Are you drunk on a park bench or are you drunk on your front step in your yard?
Why do we have titles and deeds?
So that
to
no one can
cars?
walk up and take your car from you.
Because it's privately owned property.
Right. The car itself, but where does the car go?
On public roads. But the
If
public
you're doing
road
something
doesn't
illegal
make
in your car,
the public road doesn't make my car any more public.
but if you're doing something
Here's
illegal
a
in your
loophole.
car,
You steal from that person. You drive exclusively on back roads that are all on private property.
no. But again, you're worried about your Fourth Amendment rights, and like I stated, this does not affect illegal search and seizure. They can't just walk up and look through your window and decide that they're going to go in.
It absolutely will affect that, because if this
No.
passes, this sets precedent that the interior of your vehicle is public. Guess what? You don't need to search you don't need a search warrant to search public. To search what is the public.
It's not going to be that easy for them to make that leak. This is
Are you kidding me?
circumstantial. This is circumstantial.
feel like
How is
that's
this
how cops
circumstantial?
are on-
That's exactly
yeah,
what they're going to reference. They're going to
operating
reference,
though.
hey, this case went through the Supreme Court, and they ruled that the interior of your vehicle is open to the public.
It's
100%.
It's not going to be like that. I'm not concerned about it being
the interior
like that.
of your. That's exactly, dude.
Well,
you're going to trust the government?
No, never. But
with them
what I'm
labeling
saying
the
is,
interior of your vehicle.
what I'm saying is this is not new.
Public.
And that's why I drew back on my experience from 7 years ago and beyond, just Minnesota state firearms laws. Because that's what this case is. This is a firearms case. A BB gun is not a firearm, but it can be treated that way
If you're
in
not-
the commission of a crime. It has always been illegal for someone without a permit to carry a loaded firearm in their car.
Right, but it's illegal.
In that case, they
irrelevant
treat
of
the car
vehicle.
as a public place. You're carrying it in public. You are not in your domicile. In your domicile, you can, without a carry permit, you can have a loaded gun in your house. You cannot go out and carry a loaded gun. If you have it in your vehicle, they consider that to be on your person.
So according to Rob Dorr, the senior vice president of Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, found it interesting that a case involving an improperly stowed BB gun could lead the Supreme Court to upend historical notions of private property on public roads. Quote, "This is somehow a more serious thing that disregards additional historical privacy and warrantless search protections." It's really head scratching. What this opinion is going to do is provide a lot of opportunities for prosecutors to say, well, the Supreme Court decided here that there are some instances where a car is a public place, and here's the citation.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it going either way. I could totally see this just being a one-off case, but I'm also not naive to the fact that our state is totally willing to give an inch, take a mile kind of situation.
It's not one-off. The only reason that there's any controversy is because it's just a BB gun.
Yeah.
But
I have no
they've
problem
used
with the
these same
court saying
things.
the BB gun was in line of sight that the officer noticed while apprehending the dude in the middle of a crime. It has nothing to do. They're sneaking this whole public BS in there as a way to upend property rights. That's what this is.
I don't think so.
Why is the
only
line
reason
of sight not good enough?
Well, because it's not about line of sight.
They already had probable cause. The guy's a felon. They caught him in the middle of a crime.
They arrested him
Why-
for it. They
why-
searched the vehicle.
Right.
That's common practice.
Why add this whole public
They
space
didn't
deal?
want to add it. He added it because that was his defense. His lawyer argued, oh, he wasn't carrying, because they were charging him with that crime. They were charging him in an additional gross misdemeanor because they found the BB gun and he did not have a permit to carry.
Is he legally able to own that BB gun?
He's legally able to own the BB gun. He's not able to bring it out in public.
Out where?
In public.
And public is defined as?
Right. And they are trying to charge him with the crime. And his lawyer argues, well, he wasn't in public. It was just in his car, under his seat, easy access to reach, not in a case, as if he was, intending to use it in some threatening way. We can't charge him for what we don't know he may or may not do in the future. But they find him with the gun under the seat of his car. And he's driving around in public and had just committed a crime. So they charge him with the gross misdemeanor for having the BB gun out and about.
Charge him with the crime he committed.
Oh, they did too.
That's that.
So he tried to lower his sentence by his lawyer saying, well, he wasn't in public. They go back to the statute that you read.
He was not in possession in public with that firearm. Period.
According to the statute that you read, he was. Because just because he was inside of his vehicle in public does not mean he was not in public. You read it yourself. It doesn't say unless you're in your vehicle.
It doesn't say anything about vehicles. That's the point. That's why this is going where it's going.
It doesn't exclude being in a vehicle if you are out in public.
It doesn't include it. You can't add language.
It's not adding language. If the law does not define specifically unless you're in your vehicle, then why wouldn't it include being in your vehicle?
I'm saying the opposite. If the definition of being in public includes being in your vehicle, they would have included it, which is why they included.
You wouldn't think they'd have to. Logically, you are physically in a public place. Who cares if you're on a bike, on your shoes, or in a car? You are physically in a public place.
That's exactly what law is. It needs to define it. If it doesn't define it, it doesn't exist. Hold on. Which is why precedent is important, because precedent moves to interpret the law. So once we interpret it as, oh, wow, we've never come across this situation before. Now they're going to set precedent. Now this will be new law based upon precedent. Now the law defines both inside and out what is public, and then it goes so far as to define what is not public. Public roads are public. The interior of my private property is my private property. Now let's go with what you're saying. We don't know what's in your house. You might be in possession of something that you're not supposed to be in possession of. And guess what? You could bring that out in public. Let's go with all these hypotheticals. So you know what? We shouldn't need a warrant to search your house. You might own something that you shouldn't own. Why don't you let us in and let us take a look? How is that a big leap?
Because they didn't violate his rights by searching the vehicle that they impounded. They're required to search the vehicle.
Great. So we don't need to add the thing in about the public. We don't need to.
I don't know how further to spin in circles with you on this.
It's an irrelevant ad.
I don't see it that way.
We don't need to challenge that part of the equation because he wasn't supposed to own that, and they had
he could own it. He just can't bring it in public.
Probable cause to search his car.
I mean, to me, it wouldn't matter if it was a BB gun or a real gun. It would be the exact same thing, and he could make the same claim if it was a real gun. And he didn't have a carry permit.
He can't own a real gun, right?
As far as I was aware, because of his priors, he couldn't own a real gun. But let's forget about that for a second. Say he could, but he just doesn't have his carry permit. Same situation happens. They find a loaded gun, and he doesn't have a carry permit.
So he can legally own the BB gun.
And let's say that he can legally...
But it needs to be in a case in the trunk?
That's how you would transport a firearm. There are laws about transporting firearms. So let's say he can own a pistol, a real gun, but he can't carry it because he doesn't yet have his carry permit. If he has it loaded in his car and not in a case, he's going to be charged with carrying a firearm without a permit, which is what they were charging him with. How are they classifying this as a firearm? It's a BB gun in public.
Yeah, I just don't care.
I mean, I
care more about...
I hear what you're saying. I don't think that they can legally jump to that ledge that you're reaching for.
Than I do about this guy with a BB gun.
Yeah, I just don't see cars that way. If you're in public, if you're doing something illegal in public, I don't care if you are outside of your vehicle or 2 feet over inside of your vehicle. I don't care.
We'll just have to see what happens.
Right,
here.
but that's why I'm saying the interior of the vehicle doesn't change the crime. And I know that's what they're trying to do with this one. And they're trying to say that, oh, well, he's not in public. But if the law already states that the BB gun in the car needs to be transported a specific way, that's the law that he broke.
Right. And it is, and that's part of it. And the reason that his lawyer is arguing he didn't break the law is because the inside of his car is not public. He broke the law either way, but he's trying to argue that he can carry his gun wherever he wants because his car is not public property, no matter where the car goes.
So this is where I don't understand, because to me it's still irrelevant of whether the car is private or public. He wasn't carrying it correctly. In his private vehicle, if the law says this is how it needs to be transported, in private, it needs to be transported this way, in private, Why do we need to make the interior of the space a public space?
Just because that was the lawyer's argument. That's the only reason public space got brought up at all.
That was the prosecutor's argument, right? So that's the government's argument?
My understanding was
his attorney is saying the interior of my client's vehicle is a private space.
Does not count as public space.
And the government is saying, oh no.
The government's saying, no, you're transporting your vehicle across public space.
Right.
That's why this qualifies.
Why doesn't the prosecutor use the argument of improperly transporting a firearm as opposed to trying to make the interior of a vehicle a public space? That's what I'm saying.
That's a great question, and I would have gone about it that way because that's more clear to me. I think this is confusing as well, and I think the laws regarding a BB gun in the first place
I don't think there's anything confusing about the government trying to set precedents that the interior of your private vehicle is public space. You can still commit crimes in public spaces. So get me on the crime, not on some property right BS.
And I've been looking into the Supreme Court justices in our state. I don't know if a single one of them is
conservative,
right-leaning or conservative.
No, not at all.
Probably not at all.
I mean,
and they don't like their gun laws either.
And that,
So get the dude on improperly transported firearm. Boom, done.
That's what I would.
And you know what? In the county that I grew up,
so maybe you're right. Maybe they are trying to use this to set a precedent. But all I'm saying,
BB gun in my backyard, and I had a cop come around telling me that in my county that a BB gun is considered a firearm. If a BB gun is considered a firearm, felons can't own firearms.
A BB gun's not considered a firearm in Minnesota.
Legally, but
in my county it was.
But
your guy didn't show you any paperwork saying that. He was just a cop trying to scare a kid because the neighbor
which is becoming
complained.
more and more common these days.
I'm pretty sure if we look it up, it is.
A firearm has to have gunpowder for the projectile to go. A BB gun is shot by compressed air, sometimes CO2.
I think this
so
was
it's not considered a firearm.
This was a county law because we looked it up afterwards. Paintball guns are fine. BB guns are considered a firearm, and a firearm cannot be fired in city limits. That was her stance.
BB guns can't be carried in public. You're on your own backyard. You can shoot a BB gun.
Not within city limits.
You can. I have that somewhere too. So 2016.
It's going to be an interesting run.
2016 is when Minnesota Supreme Court determined that a BB gun is not a firearm. So maybe back when this happened.
Okay, this was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So at this point, it is no longer a firearm. Still can't carry it in public, just like a shotgun or a rifle, unless you have a permit.
There we go. So we're both right.
We're both right, and I guess we'll see what happens.
I don't see the need for the prosecutor or the AKA the government to push for the interior of a vehicle to be public space. That will be used and abused like every inch the government takes turns out to be 50 miles. That's exactly what this will be. There's no law that ends up on the books that gets reversed. How many times have we ever seen the government reverse anything? So
Roe v. Wade.
Well,
not until recently.
And still not really. I mean, kind of, but
that was a big victory. I mean,
laws get added, nothing gets taken away. So like and especially when it comes to property rights, we're already taxed the hell. We practically don't own anything already. You can own your house outright. You're still paying taxes on it. That's crazy. You can own your land outright. You're still paying taxes on it. That's nuts. You can own your car outright. You're still paying for tabs. You're still paying registration.
Think about how many. Oh my gosh, the tax revenue on a car.
It's
how
insane.
many times it's taxed over and over
it's
again. Unreal.
And now they're taxing you on private sales.
Really?
I had to pay tax when I purchased Donna, my Lexus.
Wasn't that partly because it was from out of state?
No.
It didn't affect anything.
Nope.
Oh.
They ask you how much you pay for it, and then they add on sales tax, which is ridiculous because Uncle Sam never showed up to my private party sale and helped me assess my vehicle. Like, if you're going to charge...
What's even the point? Like, where does that tax go to pay for?
Our
that's roads? Where we need
it goes towards
line
DEI
items
hires.
here, man. And that's where the receipts need to be public info.
It's crazy.
There needs
you filled that form out yourself. Couldn't you have just put 0?
No, you don't fill it. You go to the DMV and then
they ask how much, and you could have just said 0, right?
He could have, but
I mean,
want a paper
they know
trail
better than that. I don't know how you tell them I paid nothing for somebody just gave
I traded my old washing machine.
Yeah, I don't know.
got this in exchange for a
I know
washing
there's a
machine.
good reason for it. I can't think of what it would be.
Called getting audited.
Well, I got something better. At least what's happening here isn't quite as bad as what's happening in Ohio. Ohio lawmakers have proposed a new law that bans men from ejaculating without intent of conception, would fine men up to $10,000 per ejaculation.
Sponsored by Democratic State Representatives Anita Somani, an OBGYN from Dublin, and Tristan Rader of Lakewood.
The whole entire point of this bill is to call out the hypocrisy of particularly the state legislature when they bring forward bills to regulate women's bodies.
Now, there are exceptions to the proposed law, which include sperm donation, contraception, and members of the LGBTQ community. Men face a maximum $10,000 fine after the third offense if they have sex with a woman without the intention of conceiving a child.
Men have the same rights no matter where they go in the country. Women have rights based on where they live.
It just misses the most basic biological facts and leans in towards middle school humor.
Austin Beigel with End Abortion Ohio calls the proposal disrespectful to the pro-life community and a waste of state resources.
They have to review it when they file it. They're going to have to stick a legal team on it, wasting time on that and delaying other bills that are trying to be reviewed as well.
ABC6 asking viewers about the proposal in an online poll. 26% said it's a good idea. 74% telling us it's a waste of time.
This may be considered a waste of money by some people, but we have had far bigger misuse of taxpayer money in bills that have been proposed and passed.
The final draft still being written. The proposed legislation will get a hearing after it's submitted. But with a Republican-controlled legislature, the bill not expected to go anywhere.
For this particular bill, that's certainly okay. Again, the whole point of this bill wasn't to get it passed. The whole point of this bill was to call out the hypocrisy.
How crazy is that?
It's okay if it doesn't get passed.
Waste time and money, baby.
I'm broke before I come.
Somebody says they should be fined for making ridiculous proposals like this.
Absolutely should. And what was her argument? There have been worse things that have passed.
Wait, so I'm confused.
So they're trying to make some weird equation between like women who can't get abortions in every state and saying, oh, well, if women don't have rights to their body and there's jail time or fines or whatever for
any guy who loses goo without the intent of that providing life is going to be charged. It's just kind of.
If I can't kill my baby, you can't orgasm.
Right.
Equality.
Yeah,
some teenagers racking up a $50,000 bill a day.
He's going for the Candy Crush record.
So I think it's a little misunderstood. I think what it means is like if you're having sex with a woman and you finish without the intent of conception, then there can be a fine. And
so like
this just ignores.
You got to old school raw dog it. Non-stop, like there's no condoms that can be used?
I don't understand the finer points of this most ridiculous
think
misunderstanding of
they don't
biology.
Understand them either.
There's no outlaw. It's not like it's female orgasms are outlawed. They're just rare. But
rare, safe, and whatever. Safe, legal, and rare.
Safe, legal, and rare. The female orgasm. I like that. Safe, legal, and rare. Female orgasm. But this is classism at its finest. Have you guys heard the idea that speeding tickets is classist?
No.
Yep.
Because if you're making $500 a week and you get a $200 speeding ticket, like that's enough to bankrupt you. That's enough to like spiral your life down to the depths of despair. You're not going to be able to make rent. You might get your car impounded.
You might have to take the bus. Oh no.
Well, but to be fair,
yeah, I know. It would ruin you. I mean,
yeah. So, but the guy making $400K a year, a $200 speeding ticket's nothing. He can speed all day long and twice on Sundays and not think twice about it because
you can't drive forever though. You're gonna get your license
doesn't care
revoked.
about.
Well, eventually, yeah.
He doesn't care about his insurance rates going up either.
Well, and I don't think it used to be that bad. It's bad now. But it's still classism. That's essentially what that is. The fine should be maybe a percentage. It shouldn't be the same for everybody because the severity of the crime is the same, but the severity of the punishment depends upon, your level of.
So if you're edging, it's only like a $5,000 fee. Is that what you're getting?
That's right.
That's pre-cum. That's $5,000.
No, I saw this interview with John Bernthal. Do you know that actor? He played. I can't afford you. He played.
That's the whole thing. Like, what? Only rich dudes get to finish now?
Yeah, that's right.
That's why Elon's got all these kids all over the place, right?
Oh, but he was saying his guilty pleasure is driving fast. So he'll be like, he lives in California, and whatever highway he was talking about, he's like, I'll be going 180. And I did this film with Will Smith. We were on set, and then we were both headed back the same direction. And I saw this car just go zooming past me.
It's Jada.
And I thought, wow, was that? And I'm going like 180. And I was like, wow, was that Will? And then I realized that was just his personal assistant speeding ahead of Will to make sure that there were no cops or speed traps. And Will's coming up behind him going even faster. But these guys can just afford, even if they were to get a ticket, they can afford it. They don't care. They're living life on the edge. Risking other people's lives, by the way.
You don't want to be above the law when you can buy the law.
That's right. Buy the law. I'm going to buy your private space and make it my public space.
Oh, my gosh. Well, so Doge and USAID, Trump and Musk have been hammering out fraud, waste, and abuse. At least that's what they call it. The media seems to think they've debunked all of that. Well, excuse me if I think the media, of which has been paid by the very same funding being examined right now, can you say conflict of interest much, is no longer has any credibility. People are going nuts about all this to the point where it's taking over their ability to do their jobs, or it makes you wonder if they even were really capable of doing them in the first place.
And the only thing that bothers me more than him is all the Republican senators and congressmen who just keep going along with it. It's not because they believe in it. You gotta know they don't believe in it. They don't believe in any of it. They're just afraid that he's gonna talk smack about them on Truth Social, and then they're gonna lose their job in an election. So they're just doing whatever he says, which is the worst possible thing, because that's cult and dictatorship. Jesus Christ, you don't see that? I'm not kidding. When I say wipe that smile up, I don't care if that's a detention. I just wrote you a referral mentally. You're going to detention for bringing up politics in class. You want to go for 2? Control yourself, man. Yo. Excuse me? What? Excuse me? After all I put up with you for the last 2 years and talked you up and stood your back when they ripped you, you what? You say what? What?
Control yourself, Queen.
Hit the teacher. Just punch that guy.
Even that disrespect! Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? If I could take back your letter of recommendation from college right now, I would. Oh my God! You talk to me like that? After everything I've done for you? Are you kidding me?
Oh, I hope that man lost his job.
No detention. Don't ever talk to me again personally.
What a whiny little
without raising your hand, you go to detention for a week. From now on.
The betas are rising.
Disrespect me like that? You got your letter, so now everything's good, right? You got
Crying
your
like
high grade
little
on
demons.
midterm, so everything's good. Now you can treat me like that? After all I've stood up for you, you punk ass. You really gonna do that to me? And the only thing that bothers
Wow, dude.
You respect me? I'm an alpha.
Dude, like,
having a grown man yell at you like that.
This is where,
That's a professional teacher, and I'm pretty sure this is in a public school, and
Absolutely.
he has a freaking meltdown over a Trump
Thank
comment.
God someone pulled out their
the
phone.
thing is
that.
I'm not surprised at all. And I wish, I'm curious
This
what happened
teacher's
to that
crash
guy.
out over Trump is legendary, and he has been fired.
Praise the Lord.
But I mean, the firing is like, you wonder as students, I went to public school, and I would say, like, if that happened in some of the classes I were at, there would be more kids yelling, dude, what, like trying to chill the teacher out or get fire back at him. I mean, that's just,
I think they were all just kind of stunned over it.
I would be stunned too. I mean, it's weird to be in a classroom and see the quote unquote adult do that. But if someone was talking to me like that, it'd be hard not to just hit them right back in the face. I mean, but then the student's in trouble and it's a bad situation. That's wild. Absolutely wild.
So I got another one. People can't seem to cope with the fact that this is what the American people chose. And this is why they voted that way. Here's a perfect example of why they voted this way. This is Representative Jasmine Crockett. on the Breakfast Club podcast.
Really been the one to call it out. The fact that I'm rooting for Canada and I'm rooting for Mexico a lot is really wild. But they are really the ones that are speaking truth to power right now. They can see what it is, and they were like, we are not messing with this crazy regime from Mar-a-Lago, and basically calling them thugs. That's what it is. But I'm like, y'all knew who he was when y'all elected him. So,
but you don't. I mean, what?
Oh, don't act surprised.
This whole thing is crazy. Working for and serving the citizens of the United States, but publicly saying that you are rooting for other countries is a wild take. Like, I think that's called treason.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah. Not surprising.
Back in the day, they used to call that a spy.
Yeah.
Commie.
Yeah. Not only that, but like we talked about before, this is what the American people voted for. This is what they picked. Talk about a threat to democracy. That's you. That's you, Jasmine Crockett.
And I don't want to be the world police or anything. And, but, this is something Dennis Prager's brought up in the past, but you can have only really one true superpower in the world at a time. And would you rather have China, Russia running the show right now and we're subservient to them? Or would you rather have the United States that
I agree with you. I don't even think these people are thinking that far.
No, I know. It's just crazy though. Like they're so against us having power and independence as a country. It's like we need to serve everyone else. Well, we're too weak to serve it. We need to put the mask on our face, Pastor Brandon, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's just,
what would be funny? We really, really want Canada, right? Canada doesn't want to be with us. Here's what we do.
See, I think Canada would.
Isn't Trudeau going out soon?
Yeah, I thought he resigned like a month ago.
Yeah, why is he still talking smack on Twitter?
It's his death rattle. But so here's what we do. We drop NATO because we're sick of holding them up. We team up with Russia and China, and then we take Canada.
Nice.
That would be quite something.
Could you see it?
I don't think
never
we need
see
to
it
team
coming
up to take Canada. I mean, it's such a population-wise, it dwarfs us.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Don't get me wrong. We're basically Canadian as Minnesotans. So it's like
I just don't get how can you go out on a podcast and say that you are a U.S. representative and you're rooting for Mexico and you're rooting for Canada.
To speak truth to power. Don't say those words. You just sound like an idiot who's regurgitating lines.
It's ridiculous. I mean, like the fact that you can go and say that and then say that Trump and MAGA is a threat to democracy when the threat to democracy are the people that stand in the way of what the American people voted for, which is Trump and MAGA. That's what they voted for. Mm-hmm. I don't understand this backwards logic. Like someone make this make sense. I don't care how hot she is. She can't even represent America on a podcast. This is literally a threat to national security if she's saying she's rooting for other countries. How is this not like getting a knock on her door?
It's like
from
Elon and AOC teaching people how to avoid ICE. It's
that too. I mean, how do you get away with that legally? I don't know. But if you're rooting for Mexico or rooting for Canada, go work for them. Go live there. I don't get this. Like, get involved in their government. This is so much worse than bringing a Powerade to your Gatorade job.
This is the power move.
Stupid.
And at least in Canada, you can jizz for free.
Never going to Ohio again.
Well,
but wait, if I just drive through and I do it while I'm in my car, then I'm in my private space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For now. Get your hand off the gun, dude.
It doesn't say jerking and driving is illegal. It doesn't say it is legal.
Look for the loopholes where you can.
Yeah.
Park on state lines.
I think we beat this over the head enough, right?
Beat what?
Well, hey, we want to thank you for visiting us in the flyover states. And remember, we're just hindsight heroes being idiots on the internet. Shoot us a message if you'd like to join the conversation. The Midwest has room for you too. Hey, thanks for coming. Drive safe. Same time next week.